Knicks and the Red Hot Broncos. Coverage starts at 12:45, kickoff at 1:25 on KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Good morning, Las Vegas. What's going on? Welcome to the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Yeah, we're going to break up that newsy news stuff and, well, we're going to give you pro wrestling fun, excitement, entertainment, and just have a great time for the next 2 hours here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Also on that Odyssey app. My God, it's incredible. If you don't have it, I mean, look how, just feel the joyousness coming out of my mouth right now. You got to get that Odyssey app, AUDACY. Pick it up, and you can listen to all of our great shows on KDAWN, plus so many from around the world. We've got 220 stations, so there's got to be something you're going to love. Get that app right now, and I promise you, you will just, your soul will overflow with happiness. It's great. And we're also streaming, by the way. So if you want to interact with the show, you can go to on X to Mark Hoke Show and the Mark Hoke Show on Facebook and YouTube, and join us there as well. It's going to be a great show today. Boy, a lot of interesting stuff going down in and out of the ring, but let's bring on my boys, my brothers. First, let's go to our good friend from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling down in Austin, Texas. He is a happy guy today. Barely. Stu Myrick, what's going on?
Have I told you how much I hate college football overtime?
No, actually, but
Longhorns pulled it out, and coming back from 17, that's a big one, against Mississippi State. So credit to Arch Manning and the offense and everything, but man, I hate overtime games.
Well,
if you were in high school too, so
yeah, if you were a fan of the North Dakota State Bison, you wouldn't have had to worry about overtime yesterday after in the 1-2 game, where NDSU just smashed them into the ground. Those poor little bunny rabbits, they got turned into Hassenpfeffer, and what a beautiful sight it was. And I don't care if Mason their quarterback was playing or not. Yeah. This NDSU team is something special, but yeah. So Stu, maybe you ought to hop on the.
And then you got my Cowboys on later today.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Cowboys Broncos. On the Odyssey app, check out my boys at 105.3 The Fan up in Dallas, the flagship of the Dallas Cowboys. Zach Walchuk, Bobby Belt, and the folks breaking down that game.
Yeah, I didn't know we were playing arena football on the on KDAWN, but it's okay.
We'll see.
We'll see. Let's get in our other good buddy here who was hanging out at Halloween Havoc. He is from
Hey, I'm a Broncos fan, Stu. So good luck today.
Hey, I've got a soft spot for the Broncos. A good friend of mine, Dan Neal, played. He actually got drafted by them and was the center for John Elway in those two Super Bowl wins. So,
let me introduce Coach Rosey from Ad Free Shows. Josh Rosenbaum is sporting his Broncos shirt. Yeah, I got a soft spot for the Broncos too. It's like when you're stepping around a cow pasture and you kind of hit something you shouldn't. Yeah,
you're in Raiders. You're in Raiders territory, so that's a rivalry. That's one of the rivalries there.
Yes, but anyone that knows me knows that I am not a fan of the silver and black. No offense to everybody here in Las Vegas.
You're a fan of those nasty Eagles. So.
Oh, fly Eagles fly, baby. All right, fellas. Well, a lot happening this week and some major happenings behind the scenes as well. But I got to talk about Halloween Havoc last night, guys. Coach, you were there having a good old time, hanging out with the Hardys. Unfortunately, did not get the result that they wanted as they lose the NXT tag titles to Dark State but they did the broken thing, which is a lot of fun. all the time. But Coach, your reaction to the loss of the NXT tag titles by the Hardys?
Well, I'll just say congratulations to Dark State. I know they fought in the Broken Universe, the Hardy match, but 4 against 2 is very difficult to overcome. But as we know in the professional wrestling business, legends put over young guys, and I think that might have been the case last night because the Hardys were going 4 against 2. Dark State is the up-and-coming tag team in NXT, and, in a physical, broken match with tables and ladders and all the kind of gimmicks you want in the world, Dark State came out on top. So congratulations to them. They're a great faction in NXT.
Yeah, but how did Matt and Jet not know that they were going to be get outnumbered in that whole thing? They should have brought some friends, man. Threw a couple people in the lake of reincarnation and, dragged them out. Maybe drop the Dudleys in there or something and bring them along. I don't know. Tactical error by the Hardys.
Hey, that happens sometimes, but the sky's the limit for the Hardys. They're wanted all over the world to wrestle. So congratulations to Dark State. It was difficult. The crowd was definitely shocked because it was about 99.9% Hardy country, and nobody expected them to take the fall in the broken Matt coming back and Brother Nero coming back, especially with that tremendous promo they had on NXT. But, that's why you got to settle it in the ring, and Dark State took care of business. Huge move off the ladder for the guy from Dark State, and Jeff was out, Matt was tied up, and that was the match.
Yeah.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, but they'll be back.
Well, Stu, we're going to be talking about title changes happening in WWE later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as, I don't want to denigrate anything the Hardys did because I don't want this to be taken that way. But it sure seems like the title change of giving them the NXT titles for a little bit was just kind of a more gimmicky than anything else to a point. It pads them, but it also, kind of gets a hot shot going, and you know what I mean, Stu?
It was okay. Let's take a step back. Matt and Jeff Hardy, one of the greatest tag teams ever, in wrestling. They got to add, the NXT tag titles to their very, very lengthy Hall of Fame worthy resume. It served 2 purposes. First, of course, the nostalgia. Matt and Jeff as champs, and they're again one of the greatest ever. And 2, with this NXT TNA agreement working together, whatever, it fed into that a little bit. So I wouldn't call it gimmicky. It was a nod to legends, and Matt and Jeff are. I still brag about the night that Matt Hardy broke me at a Russell Church show years ago.
Probably well deserved.
Yeah, it was but it did what it was supposed to do. Dark State now have the titles. That means you'll get some good opponents up to face them. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Dark State gimmick just because it feels it was kind of interesting when it started, but now it just feels like just another heel faction, It's it has a little, I hate to say this, but it has the slightest tinge of retribution.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's stiff. That's stiff. I was hoping you were going to say the Shield.
No, they're not even close.
Yeah, you went the other way.
No,
that's stiff.
Not even close.
Yeah. So that was one of the main matches last night. The card overall was okay. But a lot of titles changed hands last night. And let me just pull the results here from yesterday evening. As a fact, a lot of titles switched hands.
Mm-hmm.
we did have a opening match. Javon Evans and Leon Slater got to get in there, and they weird and LaParca really owed some guys from AAA than anything else too.
Yeah, that was, I mean, and that was again ingraining the AAA product in. So it gave, Iguana is, big time over with the WWE universe. Of course, LaParca, everybody thinks back to the days in WCW. So that's a fun little connection to, kind of give AAA a little more rub in the WWE universe.
And then, Coach, we got to Ethan Page defending the NXT.
Let me say something about that tag match. If you've noticed recently, Javon and Leon have been pairing up, and I just got a sneaky suspicion that those two guys will be the ones that are going to beat Dark State whenever
I would agree.
They are going to be the
next
NXT tag champs.
That makes sense. They're the hot duo right now, and I think it's I think people are still pissed about the abrupt non-finish to their match at Bound for Glory.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, let's at least reward them with a tag title run.
Yep.
And then, Coach, we had the Ethan Page defending his NXT North American Championship in a Day of the Dead match against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. And the match was good. I mean, I'll tell you, Ethan Page just keeps finding a way to top what he's done before. And, and it was just a kind of a, I don't know. I mean, it was all right, but Ethan really carried the show on this one. What did you think when, being there?
Man, let me tell you something. That was the match of the night, in my opinion, at least for the pure wrestling and the ups and downs of the match. When Ethan tore Dr. Wagner's mask in half, spun it around, the crowd popped huge. And I don't know if you can tell from on television, but Ethan took a major bump about halfway through the match where he hit his head straight on, I believe, with the stairs. And at the end of the match, he came back and he was a Crimson Mask. He ended up with either glue or staples in his head. He is definitely the most hated man in NXT. He walks out and the heat is nuclear. And that is exactly what he wants, because somebody with all that ego and belief in himself, he is really putting over himself, and he deserves it. He didn't get the push he really needed or deserved in AEW, and now he's transformed his body with Cesar Bononi as his trainer. He's a leader in that NXT locker room. Guys come up to him and ask for advice in the matches, and he's coming along exactly the way that he should have. It's been a slow burn with Ethan, but since he's gotten to NXT, it's all full speed ahead.
Stu, how are you feeling about where Ethan Page is right now? Because I think a lot of people were wondering, is he really going to be able to get called up and have an impact? I'm starting to feel like he will.
Oh, Ethan Page is one of the best out there. He knows what he's doing, and yeah, the AEW run was kind of lame. His working Impact TNA was awesome. With him and Josh Alexander as the North, and then his singles run. But yeah, the stuff he's been doing in NXT, it's Ethan. That's Ethan. He's he works hard, and the fact that he's not on the main roster yet, it could be just simply one of those things. NXT needs stars too, so they keep one of the stars there. Ethan Page would fit in just fine on Raw and SmackDown, and he could go at any time. But, so NXT needs to enjoy what they're seeing with Ethan Page, and Ethan Page has always been just a dastardly heel. That's what he does. He's very good at it.
That he is. All right, we're going to step back and take a break here on the Mark Hoke Show on KDAWN 101.5 FM, Talk of Las Vegas, as we'll keep going through the NXT Halloween Havoc. And, but some weird things happened on Tuesday night there, too, with the ratings, and we got to talk about that. So, and just so much more to come today. It's going to be a blast. Stu Myrick, Coach Rosey, and I'm Mark Hoke. Thanks for being with us here on KDAWN. We will be right back.
One 101.5 FM KDAWN.
This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
By the way, did I mention South Dakota State sucks? I can't remember if I said it or not. But
okay, then that means I got to say it's 10:25 a.m. Central, and OU still sucks, and they lost to Ole Miss for 1 week. I like Lane Kiffin.
Wow, there you go. Stu Myrick, always in with a football quip, and Coach Rosey from adfreeshows.com, also doing his thing as well. Very happy to have everybody joining us for the best in pro wrestling here on KDAWN. And let's get back to what happened at Halloween Havoc. We have a couple of new champions on the ladies' side, as Saruka can't defend her title, and Blake Monroe beats Zarya to take it down. So Blake Monroe, our former wonderful Mariah May from AEW, is the new NXT Women's North American Champion. Coach, will NXT ever be the same now that Blake Monroe has a belt?
That belt's just going to be a stepping stone because she's not going to be around in NXT very long. She might end up winning the world championship, but they're going to fast track her. And what I'd love to see is, if you take a look, 3 out of the major stars are AEW guys, with Ricky Saints, Blake Monroe, and Ethan Page. I mean, to see them thrive in championship roles and see them have storylines that are dynamic with championship runs in them just warms my heart. And she is over like Rover. That whole intro with the mirror and her looking into it and coming down to the ring, it's pure beauty, not only storyline wise, but she's a very beautiful young lady, and she's over in NXT.
Yeah, she's pretty attractive still, but Blake Monroe's future. I mean, how long does she stay in NXT, Stu? Because you could have probably put her on the main roster right away when she came over.
Yeah, and that's been the story here lately with NXT is, a lot of the folks that have been coming in, they're probably main roster ready, but as I said, as I mentioned with Ethan Page, NXT needs stars too, because they've got to get viewers. So it makes sense. Yes, Blake Monroe is, or Mariah May, or whatever you want to call her. Yes, she's main roster ready. The kicker is going to be, where do you fit her in?
Yeah.
Because both Raw and SmackDown, the women's rosters are stacked. So, I mean, yeah, she could go on there, but does she get lost in the shuffle a little bit? That's why I'm thinking Mariah May or Blake Monroe may stick around a little bit. I definitely would expect her to stick around at least through WrestleMania, maybe even a little bit after that, because again, it's going to be hard to find a place on the main roster with the talent they've got already.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Tatum Paxley wins the NXT Women's Championship, beating JC Jane. So, and a pretty emotional night. Tatum's been there forever and finally gets a championship, Stu, and the crowd very much behind her on that. But Tatum Paxley is your new NXT Women's Champ.
Yeah, that was an interesting change. It's got to feed into this eventual, feud that we'll see between her and who's the blonde from the Culling, name escapes me, but because she's
Ron
been
Breaker's girlfriend.
Yeah, but what's her name? Izzy Dame?
I'm sorry. I think so. Yeah, I'm blanking right now. I apologize. But yeah, you're good.
Anyway, because they've got this little, where she's allegedly mentoring, quote unquote, Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley now has a title, so that's going to feed into the eventual breakup between those two. That way, Izzy Dame can now then challenge Tatum Paxley for the NXT Women's title. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense as far as the storyline goes. So,
yeah, it's been very interesting. A lot of title changes on the women's side. Even with that, the women's championship is just in NXT has just been bouncing all over the place. We mentioned the tag match, and then Ricky Saints gets the win over Trick Williams for the NXT championship. So Ricky holds on to his title. And I know, Coach, you were there last night and got to have a good interaction with Ricky.
Yeah, all I have to do is just drop Stu's name, and I can get anywhere I want. Backstage with NXT, I was talking to Ricky, and one of the first things I said was, I do a show with Stu Myrick, and he goes, "Oh, Stu, I love that guy," and it just opened doors for about a 30-minute conversation, and he blessed me with his pants that he wore to the ring. He said he didn't fit real well, so he said, "Hey, you want these? I'm about to get rid of them." And I didn't like the way they felt. He goes, "You're a friend of Stu. Here you go, buddy." And I'll treasure that moment. So thanks, Stu. He's a great guy.
It's because I always put him over and inspire. So that's it. And I would let him play, during the intermission. So No, it's good to see Ricky defend the title successfully, and I like I said, I love Ricky to death. He's one of ours. I mean, yeah, he's announced from New Orleans, and he's originally from New Orleans, but he's one of ours. He's an ATX guy. So, so all the success that I hope for Ricky, and this will be hopefully we'll see more fantastic title defenses from the former Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
And
So
and
Ricky,
don't sleep on Trick Williams. I mean, he might have taken the L, but he's still Trick Williams. He is going to have a huge career. Not only is he great in the ring, he's great on the mic. So he had a hell of a run as the TNA champ and has been the champ in other capacities. And Trick's going to be okay. He's huge and phenomenal. So a great championship match where guys got to really showcase their moves and their ability.
yeah, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Is Trick really okay? We watched Carmelo Hayes go up to the main roster, and of course, they had a great feud. And Carmelo has just been kind of stuck in second gear up there. Is Trick going to suffer the same fate, Stu?
Well, it'd been rumored for right after Carmelo Hayes moved to SmackDown, it'd been rumored that Trick was soon to follow. Well, of course, that never happened, and I think that's I think Trick's going to stick around for a little bit because again, he's still got quite a few feuds that he could do in NXT. Whereas, yeah, if he gets moved to Raw or SmackDown, what's going to happen? That main event picture is pretty locked down with Cody and CM Punk and the Usos and and everything. So I would think maybe he sticks around in NXT for a little bit and just continues being the dastardly one that he is.
I stayed down there for as long as I could. The way things are going, obviously, it's a bigger paycheck, but yeah, that's going to be fascinating to see what happens with Trick. Yeah. But there was some bad news on the NXT side, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but the ratings came out, and NXT had one of its worst ratings of all time this week on CW. I mean, just disastrous. Now, it appears that the new style that Nielsen is using to do their ratings is affecting everyone. Mm-hmm. We saw a monstrously bad number on SmackDown the week before. Dynamite got victimized, and I gotta tell you, I mean, I don't think it's the NXT product. I think I think you got to blame this ratings shift change more than anything else. Or am I wrong, Stu?
I think you're on it a little bit. And I'm trying to think. Well, Tuesday night was NBA tip-off. Mm-hmm. In fact, NBC had
it was the return of the NBA on NBC.
Yeah,
with Michael Jordan.
It was tip-off of the season. NBC. So
and they did a big number.
Yeah, I'm sure that probably had something to do with the bad number on NXT. But yeah, this whole ratings thing, and it's. I never worked in ad sales when I was in radio, so it's just one of those things they deal with. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the future as more and more things go to streaming. I just saw that the November 1st Saturday Night's Main Event is going to be only on Peacock, so it's not going to be on NBC. Which, okay. And I guess that kind of makes sense because you're kind of getting the heart of the Big Ten title race. NBC has the Big Ten, so there's probably going to be a pretty good game that night. So yeah, that makes sense to make it exclusively to Peacock. But I'll be interested to see how ratings and of course ad revenues based on ratings and all that good stuff. I want to see how it's affected, especially again with the gradual move to streaming.
Yeah, I'm not going to give WWE a total pass on this, Coach, because we know the numbers were starting to drop on WWE programming. Just some storylines and just not a lot of real excitement there. So what do you think, Coach? Is it the rating system's fault? Is it WWE's fault, or is it both?
Well, here's a pretty big indication that, viewership is down and maybe there's some fatigue. They had SmackDown in Phoenix on Friday night. Not only was it not in the main arena, it was in the Mullet Arena, which is the Arizona State Hockey Arena, that maybe at most will seat 7,000. And 3 days before the show, they had a liquidation of tickets where they were selling them for $30 a piece
Wow.
to go see SmackDown. And even up to Friday afternoon, they still hadn't sold all those tickets that were $30. So this is always the slowest period of the year for wrestling. For one reason or another, football, basketball starting, people really don't enjoy Survivor Series. For one reason or another, the winter is usually kind of slow and it picks up around Royal Rumble time. So, there are always dips and valleys, but it's going to come back. We know the road to WrestleMania is coming, and we know that the retirement of John Cena will bring back a lot of eyes. So I'll just see where it goes from here and let it play out. But it's not good. It's not bad. It's just a fact of the industry right now.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of the John Cena match, we'll transition to that a little bit. Now, I don't know if you guys had seen what happened with the pre-sale. Now, the Capital One Arena in DC holds a little over 20,000 people, but they had 60,000 plus people in the queue to try to get tickets for that match. And I don't want to throw WWE's team under the bus again in terms of, look, we could have sold more tickets, but man, Stu, that is underestimating the possibilities of what they could have done with that and putting it in a stadium or a much bigger building to bring in some extra revenue on this one. How do you feel about that? I mean, do you think they were good doing what they did, or did they underestimate the possibility that people from all over the country wanted to come see John Cena finish it off?
No, I think it's a matter of it's Saturday night's main event. So yeah, to try to do that in a stadium in December, that's going to be tough because you're looking, especially in DC because it's getting close to winter, so you got to think about conditions and all that good stuff. So yeah, keep it in an arena, charge a premium price, which apparently WWE's been doing, and that's another thing. You wonder all the chatter about WWE raising ticket prices and all the other stuff, how if that affects anything. There's also, of course, the speculation of who's going to be Cena's final opponent. That I'm sure feeds into it quite a bit. The ones that, that despite all the logical, reasons, still think Adam Copeland / Edge could show up, or it could be, whoever. There's a lot of factors into this, not to mention it, like you said, it's John Cena's final match. Look, I was at Revolution. I was at AEW Revolution last year when Sting had his final match. That place was packed. And it helped that it was in Greensboro, North Carolina, because that's that's NWA country, Crockett country. And that's where Sting found the bulk of his success. So it made sense. So yeah, I get there's quite a few things, but I think WWE did right by keeping it in an arena, especially being in early December in DC, where you could see snow or whatever. This isn't like going to a Buffalo Bills game or something.
Well, Coach, do you think they missed an opportunity? I mean, they could have done this in Tampa. They could have done it, say, someplace like the Alamo Dome, or I don't know, a lot of possibilities. But how do you feel about that, Coach? Do you think they did the right thing, or did they miss a chance?
Well, I don't know about that 60,000 number. How many of those people were actual people, and how many of them were bots? Because a lot of these tickets are getting bought up by conglomerates of ticket sellers, and that's going to really drive up the prices. And I also don't know what kind of incentive Washington, D.C. gave the WWE to move it from Boston to D.C. It must have been a huge amount, because to move it from John Cena's hometown to Washington D.C. That doesn't really make sense to me unless there was some financial incentive. And there are not a lot of people that have disposable income during Christmas time. So if you do have a major stadium where there's 50 or 60,000 people, do they want John Cena to have empty seats, or do they want John Cena to be in an arena where the pop will be tremendous? Because when you're in an outdoor arena, it doesn't sound the same, it doesn't feel the same as being in an arena. And it could be John saying, you know what, I'd like my last match to be in arena because I want to feel that energy and that fire one last time.
I think you should have done it at the KDAWN studios down here. Just John, have your last match. There's a couple people in the building that we could feed to you, and just beat some people up here at Odyssey. I think that would be a great idea.
Maybe they'll speed up the new ballroom at the White House and have it ready for John.
Now there you go. That's thinking ahead. Let's put that thing up in like 2 weeks. Stu,
yeah, and
I
he's
love
right
you to death.
because the sound goes up when you're in a stadium, so that makes sense. And you mentioned the Alamo Dome, and I'm thinking, hold it, playoffs, but no, that'll be the Texas State semifinals for high school football. So Alamo Dome might be used in one of the games. So
yeah, I'm just picking places with a roof.
I know, but having worked several high school football games at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, I know that schedule pretty well.
I would have suggested the Fargo Dome, but actually the capacity is about the same as the Capital One building. But that would have been great. Do John's last match in Fargo, North Dakota. The classic wrestling place that it is.
Well, I could be selfish and say go do it at the Moody Center.
There you go. John, you've got more matches out here, brother. Come on.
Let Matthew McConaughey walk him out.
There you go. That'd be all right. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we have a match for the WWE World Championship that, well, it's been vacated. I'll tell you what, Vacant is having a great year in WWE. He may be Wrestler of the Year. We're going to talk about that match coming up and the fans' reaction to who's in it. Not so good. Stick around. We'll be right back.
101.5 FM KDAWN.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
Oh, sorry, I was a little late there. I was looking up rabbit recipes.
Rabbit?
Yeah. Jackrabbit stew.
All right.
Yeah. Jackrabbit under glass.
Yeah, I grew up. You spent some of my childhood in Arkansas, so I've had rabbit a time or two.
Rabbit's good.
It's good,
especially good at 38 to 7 degrees. They suck. Go
Okay.
Bison.
All right.
Sorry, I may keep going with this. We'll see. Well, guys, we have a match for the World Heavyweight Championship that unfortunately Seth Rollins had to vacate because he suffered that shoulder injury in the completely meaningless Crown Jewel Perth match. And so Seth Rollins bites the dust, and now both Money in the Bank winners this year are East-Wa for a while, as Naomi, of course, got pregnant. So that one was kind of a self-inflicted departure, but Seth Rollins out of there. And we're getting CM Punk, who is the winner of the #1 contenders match. So Punk will be there. And we had a battle royal, and Jey Uso wins the battle royal. So next week on Saturday night's main event, it is going to be CM Punk versus Jey Uso, who's been getting a little feisty for the World Championship. A couple things about this match. Number one, WWE's 3 top disliked videos of the year all have involved Jey Uso, which is just terrible. The #1 was when he won the World Championship at WrestleMania. There were 111,000 dislikes. When he beat Austin Theory in a minute, 89,000 dislikes. And then this one where he won the Battle Royal, 84,000 dislikes, guys. Now, WWE is saying, you know what? We don't listen. Doesn't matter. But there we go. Should it matter? Should it matter that people are putting up all these dislikes for Jey Uso?
Well, people say that the internet wrestling community is only about 10%. But if you take a look at another case study, it'd be Joe Hendry. Both of them had a tremendous entrance. They were more well known for their song or for their yeet or for their entrance. And in both cases, I think people have gone weary of, just watching the intro and getting fired up about it. I think people want to see them fight. And, Jay has some issues with going longer and, not getting blown up. Joe Hendry's a great fighter, but he doesn't do a lot of the high-flying moves that people want to see. And I think people are just growing leery with the whole yeet thing. It's great with the kids and everything, and it was great for 5 or 6 months when they were doing it. But now it's like there's 15-minute entrances, and people are just like, come on, let's get to the match. And I think that's what's bringing a lot of the criticism and negativity towards Mr. Uso.
Stu, is Jey Uso fatigue real?
I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit oblivious to it because I don't really. I mean, there are instances. There's a few instances. Jericho and AEW and such. I wonder how much fatigue there is with Jey Uso. I'm not a fan of this heelish whatever, because it feels like they're just trying to redo Bloodline, and we all know it is really hard to capture lightning in a bottle. Just look at the NWO in 2000. So I don't know, and I may be the wrong person to ask. I'll be honest, because like I said, I'm not a fan of it. it's weird. It was weird it seems weird on the surface, Punk and Uso, but again with the whole Uso trying to be more not a good guy, whatever.
Not Usi. Not Usi at all.
Not Usi. There you go. I don't know, and I'm not. But again, I'm not feeling the fatigue from him. But again, I'm not your typical WWE fan.
Well, the one thing I'm going to throw out is, I feel like I'm putting Jay down, and I'm not trying to do it, that I just never felt like he quite fit in the main event scene as a singles guy anyway. I mean, he got a great reaction, and I think, like Coach, you brought it up about the intro. It's long, but people are really into it. But Jay struggled a little bit, and he's just coming off being a tag team wrestler for so long, and gets in the world championship scene, knocking off John Cena at the Rumble, and off we went. But I don't know if he fits better than some other people. I mean, I wouldn't have minded seeing Drew in there, or if Gunther was healthy and he could get back, and we get Punk Gunther again, or there were some other possibilities you could have gone with. Now, I think the big question is who's going to win this thing. Is Jay going to go turn heel and go over, or do they let Punk have the championship? I've got a feeling Jay's going to win this match, and something bad's going to happen, Coach.
Oh man, if he wins this match, even I might get more vocal than usual, because it's Punk's time. He's been doing it long enough. He's at WWE that he should have some type of title run. He's battled some injuries. He's been on his best behavior. He hasn't rattled any cages. He's mentoring some of the younger wrestlers, and he's not a PR disaster anymore. So CM Punk is the guy that wins the title here. If not, you're going to have a lot of angry people.
That may be the point, Stu Myrick.
That's kind of the the question with who goes over and all that good stuff. And again, I would lean giving it to Punk, just because if you're propping up Braun Breaker to be the next guy, that's probably going to be, that may be your WrestleMania match, Punk versus Breaker. So maybe you start down the road for that. I think probably just for the sake of being contrarian, I'll pick Punk to win. It wouldn't shock me either one. So
yeah, here's the way I would book it. I would book it that CM Punk joins back up with Paul Heyman, and Braun and the other guy, Bronson Reed, interfere in the match. And instead of having Seth be the visionary with Paul Heyman, CM Punk goes back with Paul Heyman, and you get evil, angry, hot mic CM Punk back with these two bruisers behind him. That would be amazing for me.
Yeah, I will say I am intrigued to see what's going to happen in this match. More so, aside from who gets the belt, but just what direction both of these guys go. And by the way, man in the chat box, I promise you we're going to talk about Shinsuke Nakamura in the next hour. I swear to God, we're going to get to it. But Coach, I know you got to get going.
Yeah.
Real quick, ad-free shows. Tell them.
Yeah, we just had a great Top Guy weekend. We spent the weekend with Mr. Crockett, Powerhouse Hobbs, David, Eddie Kingston came. It was just a great weekend, culminated by Wrestle Dream. Great weekend. We got another big event coming up in January for the Royal Rumble. So become a Top Guy. It's definitely worth your time and effort.
There you go. Check it out, adfreeshows.com. Coach, thank you very much. Certainly appreciate it. And guys, we will see you on the other side of the break. Make sure you follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show, and Facebook and YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show. And, come on, hop in this chat box. Say hi to us. Give us your thoughts on all this stuff happening. But we've got a whole lot more coming up, including, good Lord, Andrade may be making his fifth change. We'll be right back. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show. Like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show. And visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join the Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harris, owner of LifeSource Water. Your tap water isn't as clean as you think. City water is full of contaminants, including chlorine that cities use to treat it. At LifeSource, we believe your water should support your family's health. Our whole house system delivers filtered water from every tap, even your showers. For over 40 years, we've proudly built every system right here in the USA. Call our factory today at 1-800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com.
Warranty limitations apply.
Winter is coming soon, and Air Supply is here to help. If you're looking to upgrade your home's air conditioning or heating system, you should always get 3 bids. And remember, Air Supply will beat
Network's coverage of the NFL. Join Steve Berline and me for all the action as Dak Prescott and the explosive Cowboys offense take on Bo Nix and the red-hot Broncos.
Coverage starts at 12:45, kickoff at 1:25 on KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
And we are back on the Mark Hoke Show as I continue to shank buttons on the live stream as I usually do every week because I'm just doing too many things at once. But very happy to have you with us. It's the best in pro wrestling here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, Talk of Las Vegas. Also on the Odyssey app. What an amazing app. I'm telling you, it's better than the sun. Go get it right now. AUDACY. And you'll be able to hear all these great shows on KDAWN and from around the Odyssey universe and beyond. Like Stu Myrick's show, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, which is just a fine show as well.
It is. It is. By the way, I'm kind of sad. So I'm watching NFL Network, and they just came across breaking news. Nick Mangold, who's one of the stalwarts for the Jets, he's passed away at the age of 41. Complications with kidneys. He's such a good guy. I got to interact with him a few times during my, when I'd cover Super Bowls, and he just a good dude. And sorry, so sad to hear about that. All condolences to his family and Jets community. In the passing of Nick Mangold, and he's I think he's a semifinalist for Hall of Fame this year. So we'll see if that, as crazy as it sounds, that might boost his chances.
Yeah, he was trying to get a transplant and unfortunately didn't happen. So
yeah, very
sad news there about Nick Mangold. All right. In the world of pro wrestling right now, WWE they've been making a lot of changes. Have you noticed this lately? We had a lot of title changes happening over the past month or so as we've seen these ratings drop. We're going to get a new world champion. That was more because of injury, but Stephanie Vaquer is now on top. Ilya Dragunov shows up. He wins the U.S. title. We had 3 title changes last night. We have new WWE tag team champions on Raw where AJ Styles and Dragon Lee just show up and they walk out with the tag belts. So a lot of changes happening. And another one that we'll get to later is someone decided to become a bad girl. But Stu, is this moment thing, the philosophy that WWE has of going for those viral moments, is this resulting in them maybe changing championships a little faster, putting some different people in there because maybe they're not happy with what's been going on with ratings and who's on top, maybe in their eyes not drawing? Is there something going on back there that we don't know about?
That I think that I'm sure that plays into it a little bit. Trying to create the moment and all that good stuff. There are some, like the whole, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee winning the tag titles from Finn Balor and JD McDonough. It was a point, I think it was Joe Tessitore pointed out on commentary that Balor and McDonough have had the tag titles for months, and they've defended them. I think that was their second title defense or third.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
And which I'm an old school guy. I think you should defend your title. There was the old kayfabe rule. You had to defend your title every 30 days. But I think you should defend the titles on a regular basis. Don't just give them to somebody and then have to hold them, because I think it lessens the titles themselves. So I think there's a little bit of that. There's some other, other factors. We now know AJ Styles, he's getting ready to do his retirement. So maybe give him a tag title run, see how that goes. But yeah, I think trying to create moments, it does definitely feed into the rash of title changes. Now, yes, there are a few of them that had to be done because of injury or Naomi being pregnant, all that good stuff. There's that, and it feeds into it. But it's something we'll have to watch in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and just an aside note for the tag titles on both sides. Why are they not using these tag titles? I just don't get it. I mean, especially you've got the Wyatt Six over there, who should be a merchandise selling machine.
Mm-hmm.
And they just pop up every once in a while, and it's
they were
really
AAA
strange
this weekend. It was like you got them as your tag champs. Why aren't they defending them regularly on SmackDown? It's kind of head scratching. It almost, if you didn't know better, it's kind of the old Vince philosophy of tag team wrestling doesn't sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is fascinating. And Dragon Lee getting thrown on this team with AJ Styles, I think that's clearly a play for the AAA guys. We saw some AAA guys get put on the NXT card for pretty much no reason. So I don't know. Maybe they're biting off more than they can chew over there, Stu. I'm not sure, but it's pretty fascinating. We've seen a lot of this stuff. So
I totally agree.
Jade Cargill, they finally did it. She attacked Tiffany Stratton. Jade Cargill has now gone to the dark side. And how long ago should this have happened, Stu? I think it's more the question of than it happened. Why didn't they just do this a while ago?
Yeah, she's a natural heel. And how long should they've done it? That's months at least. I think they could have done it when they were doing the whole who attacked who's Bianca.
Well, she got attacked.
Oh, she got attacked.
Yeah.
Maybe do a story on where she faked it or something. I don't know. But okay, they pulled the trigger finally, make her a heel. And like I said, she's a natural heel. So I guess it's the surprise is how long it took them. So it'll make it interesting. I do see her winning that title from Tiffany Stratton eventually. I don't think that's going to be the next title defense for Stratton, but could be the one after.
Yeah, I have a feeling this kind of falls into what we were talking about with all these title changes. Tiffany's been on top, the ratings are down, time to switch it up. And this is a big switch up to getting Jade Cargill in there. So that'll be fascinating to watch. This story, and I wanted to give you a shot at this because we mentioned it last week. We didn't really get to go into it in depth. But this situation with WWE hiring an AI director. So Cyrus Kasari, who was formerly at BuzzFeed and is going to be leading WWE's AI push. And they plan to try and use this in the creative process. And the announcement that came out about it got just trashed. And WWE was not happy with the reaction to how this played out. And, because it could be, people could be worried about losing their jobs to AI. And Stu, you and I are old school, man.
Yes.
Sit down with a typewriter and go for it. But, AI is very fascinating. It came up with a storyline about Bobby Lashley being obsessed with Japanese culture, and it was just like, do you think, Stu, that AI, it's funny. Does AI have a place, and what challenges do you think Kawarsi's going to have in integrating AI into the creative process of WWE?
I mean, that's trying to integrate AI, that is every industry on earth right now. I mean, I worked for 30 plus years in state government, and we were trying to, there's been a lot of talk about trying to integrate you use AI for that. I think there is a lot of mistrust of AI, and I kind of lean there. I don't want the robot uprising. Now I do remember. I think it was Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful sent out, a thing where he said, "Look, it's not like they're going to have AI, be the writers. This is simply it's another tool that they will use to help create the stories." Which, all right, I guess. I still want human eyes to make the final call on those, but if you wanna enhance something, I guess maybe I think it is way too early to try to figure out how AI is going to affect pro wrestling. I think we need to see what they do before we totally throw it in the trash.
Well, one comment that I had read was that just because it's a never-ending cycle of news and work that's being done, that everybody's getting completely overworked at WWE, and they're hoping to use it to take the burden off a little bit. I mean, you could just hire a couple more people and not, have everybody on call at 3 a.m. like Nick Khan wants to do. But there's some interesting possibilities. Could you imagine, for example, a pay-per-view totally set up by AI with taking wrestlers and putting them as different characters, or doing something crazy like that? I mean, there's some fun stuff that could happen if you turn it loose a little bit, but like you said, Stu, I think the most important part is you better keep the human side of it on at the top of the food chain before you start throwing everything to AI. It will be entertaining, I think, but hopefully it's going to help. Like I said, if it helps the employees out, that's not bad.
And that's what you mentioned about with the whole, run different scenarios. That happens. I mean, look at fantasy sports. It happens with that, because you're in all these different simulations to try to figure out how something's going to affect something else. I think it's a matter of and I found the Sean Ross Sapp. It was part of his Q&A that he does on Fightful Select. Somebody asked about it, and he says, a quote, "I've heard they've had the AI integration for quite a while, but not in the manner in which many are suspecting. Instead, it's been used more as a digital writer's assistant who helps them with information or researchable questions and the like. I was told it was more of an idea starter thing than fleshing out full storylines," end quote. Yeah. So and I can see that.
Yeah, and that's what writers do when they get in that room. Yeah. I mean, everybody has some thoughts. They throw them out, see if they work. So what would it hurt to go to AI and, start punching in and saying, what should we do with Liv Morgan when she gets back? Or, we've got Chad Gable. What should we do? Give us some ideas to use for Chad Gable. And, maybe there's something there that'll stick. It can't hurt to get as many, options in front of you as possible. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It'll be, and we'll just, like I said, it's way too early. Let's I hate the phrase, let's let it play out.
Yes, let's let it play out. But Triple H just better hope he doesn't lose his job over this. the new head of creative control is bleep bleep bloop bloop 2000.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but I guess it's a possibility. Again, the robot uprising.
Well, it is starting to appear, or at least early on. Maybe this will change. That somebody at ESPN might be losing their job over this WWE deal. I don't know, Stu, if you saw the numbers that they got for new subscribers out of WrestlePalooza, the first event that they ESPN carried. they only pulled about 100 to 125,000 new subscribers, which on paper may sound good, but it's not the best, because if you're breaking that down, that comes out to about 35 million a year, but they paid 325 million a year for this deal. Is this going to work out? I mean, like I said, it may take some time, but a fair amount of people already had ESPN, but they got to get the new platform. And I think it turned some people off having to shell out $30 after you only had to pay a little bit for Peacock. How do you think this is going down in ESPN and WWE with not getting that many subscribers?
Well, WWE, look, they got paid. It's not their worry. It's ESPN's worry. It's the worldwide leader. Now, look, the whole new subscriber thing with the ESPN Unlimited, whatever, they're not relying solely on WWE. Let's look at ESPN. First of all, all the college football, the SEC, the ACC, college basketball, they now, the NHL and all that good stuff. I think it's the price point more than anything.
I think so too.
Because you're wanting people to shell out $30 a month to watch all the different networks. Well, if you've got a decent cable system, like I have YouTube TV, I get all the ESPN, ESPN2, SEC Network, ACC Network. I get them. So, and it's streaming. So I can watch it on my YouTube TV app rather, instead of paying $30. So basically all I'm paying for is the WWE stuff. Again, there's this kind of impression that people in wrestling are in a bubble. They think wrestling affects everything. And look, I love wrestling, watched it forever, but it's not the end all be all. ESPN did this not just because of WWE. WWE is honestly, it's a small part.
This situation with, there we go. Let's see if we got Stu back yet. Stu, do we have you?
Yes.
Not yet. Stu is frozen in time on the live stream. So, yeah, go ahead, Stu. Finish your thought there real quick. I apologize.
Well, I was saying that if it's all the other content, and look, ESPN's about to lose the UFC to Paramount Plus, so that's another little piece of it. But again, with all the different, the college football and the NHL and baseball, that's, and the price point. The price point is probably scaring quite a few people off. There's the news about they're in the talks with YouTube TV and Disney, and they're saying you may lose the networks, which they almost always, resolve them right before the deadline. And one of the sticking points is that ESPN Unlimited deal, because if you are a subscriber of certain cable systems, you get that ESPN Unlimited as part of your package, so you don't have to pay the $30. So it's just a matter, and this is also kind of new because Fox Sports does it too with their Fox One app. And in fact, if you've seen the promos, you can get the bundle with both the ESPN Unlimited and Fox One for I think it's $40 a month. Which, okay, Fox Sport, you get the World Series, you get NFL and everything, and their baseball content. So yeah, is the lack of new subscribers because of WWE, is that a sticking point? Probably not as big as people might think.
Yeah, I would agree. And I just think people weren't that excited about WrestlePalooza either. So that might not have been the one to jump on.
It wasn't a good card.
No, it was a bad card. I agree. It was a bad card. Yeah. If you were gonna be doing the ESPN launch, which they rushed because they were planning to do it at the start of next year for the Royal Rumble. Now that would have been a good place to start. But for some reason they just got greedy and said, we're gonna make a card and then we're gonna add the ESPN app. I don't know. By the way,
by the way, you do it in the middle of football season.
Yeah, not a good decision. By the way, Javon Campbell, 8357 in the chat box. Back to the AI thing real quick. Says AI would have feudal Lord Bobby Lashley with Shinsuke as his head samurai. That would have been fun. It's just Bobby's not WWE.
Slight problem. They work for different companies.
Yeah, you'd have to do that in New Japan, and we'll mention that whole thing about what's going on with Shinsuke in New Japan in a little bit. I promise to, man. I promise we're gonna talk about it. All right, but I'll turn that music down a little bit. When we come back, someone's getting paid out there to be on the indies, and is AEW going to be in trouble with their TV deal? Because there's some stuff going on out there. We're going to hit that, and Goldberg made Asuka mad. Yikes. She's not happy. Stick around, everybody. We'll be back with the Mark Hoke Show right here on KDAWN right after these commercials.
Gage Diamonds has a secret for creating something stunning, something forever. It's our skilled ring designers. Tell them about your favorite ring styles. Show them your inspirations. Together, you'll make magic. Schedule your in-person or online appointment. Gage specializes in exceptional lab-grown diamonds. Financing available. Visit GageDiamonds.com. We're engagement's middle name.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses,
FM KDAWN.
This is the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Yeah, that's me. Hi. I'm just being stupid on the live stream. It's Sunday morning. I'm allowed to be a little silly. It's all good. Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling along for the ride with me. And Stu, we mentioned it on the way out. This whole situation with Warner Brothers Discovery, it looks like someone's going to pick them off, man. And right now, the leading name is Paramount. Now, on paper, you'd say, okay, whatever, they're going to buy them. But the issue is that Paramount is now the home of UFC, which is owned by TKO, which owns WWE, which means if Paramount would buy Warner Brothers Discovery and their two little networks there, I don't know if they're going to want AEW programming on Paramount. Stu, should Tony Khan be in a little bit of a panic right now about this?
No. And so you mentioned Paramount Skydance. I saw something yesterday where they're not going to sell to Paramount Skydance. I can't remember if it was Paramount Skydance that said no or whatever. WBD they have officially announced they're up for sale. They said it was in financial speak. But no, because you've still got, you've got Dynamite on TBS, Collision on TNT, and we were talking, early in the show about the whole, the way Nielsen is measuring the ratings again. The fact of the matter is, Dynamite, Collision are still the top programs on those two networks. So, no, they're not going to. I don't think they're going to. I don't think Tony has anything to worry about. If I don't, and the other thing with Paramount Plus inheriting UFC, yeah, that's fine. But again, WWE is in bed, with ESPN, which is Disney. They still do stuff for Peacock, which is NBC Universal, and the CW, which is the CW. So I don't think Tony has anything to worry about. I think they just keep cranking out shows, and then they've got, I think, 2 years left on this current TV deal. There is an option for an additional year. That'll be the time when we see what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is going to be really tricky for AEW when the next contract comes up, because let's say TKO just says, look, if we have programming on a network, we are not putting, AEW is not allowed to be on there, guys. Not going to happen. How much leverage TKO has in all this, it's hard to say, but they've got ABC, NBC, CBS, and the CW already covered. There's not many places to go if Tony would lose the deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. I'm curious. I mean, Comcast has apparently got their hat in the ring on this. Amazon has their hat in the ring, and I think Amazon would be an interesting place for CW or AEW to continue to put some programming on. So yeah, this is gonna be wild, Stu. The consolidating landscape of television.
I think it is. I do wonder about Comcast. I call them NBC Universal. I'm old school. Because I wonder when they will stop running NXT on Peacock. Because you got to imagine they want that integrated with the rest of the content that's going to be on ESPN. So then they're going to look at AEW, look what they do on TBS and TNT, and go, hey, we can put that on Bravo or E or something. So yeah, like I said, I don't think Tony has much to worry about.
Yeah,
Amazon would be an interesting one because of we've seen a lot of sports properties. And of course, Prime Video, the Thursday night NFL games. Peacock's running NBA. Of course, Amazon's running NBA. So that'd be an interesting move. I think that's going to be kind of a wait and see for me.
Yeah, I think if I was Tony, and rumor has it they've been talking to Fox a lot, and Fox would be an amazing home for them if they could pull that off. So we'll see what goes down on that. Let's see, and then more about AEW. We've got a women's tag team championship, and the tourney has been announced.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome, and I saw some Twitter accounts or X accounts that were saying, "Oh, most of these women haven't teamed together and blah blah blah." But I think this is going to be a lot of fun as we get ready for a new era of women's tag team wrestling in AEW. And I think this is going to be a fun tournament. If you haven't seen the bracket, Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter have put together a nice finish move together. They're going to be taking on these Sisters of Sin. That is Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron are going to be teaming up, as are Mercedes Moné and Athena. Of course, Athena, the long time reigning Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and Mercedes has got enough belts to hold up a casino's worth of pants. And we got Windsor and Rio. We've got the intriguing team of Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, Megan Bain and Penelope Ford, and TJ in the dance here. First, Stu, do you like the tournament? And what do you think? Who would you book to win this thing?
The tournament is fine, and I think I said this on weeks back about, look, AEW has too many titles as it is, but they, this was one that they kind of needed, so that's fine. I like the teams they've matched up. Interesting that they're doing Mercedes Moné and Athena, because you got Mercedes with 12 belts or 13, but whatever. And then Athena, the forever Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. And, those two, I do wonder, that feels like a team destined to break up. And then we'll see those two battle each other. Now, personally, I hope Moné doesn't win the Ring of Honor Women's World title because I'm kind of bored with that, but that's a whole nother thing. As far as the rest of the teams, I think it's a coin flip, honestly. I think, any of them would be good tag champions. Willow and Harley, I think that would be a lot of fun. I loved seeing Puppet Moné this past Wednesday on Dynamite. The Sisters Sin, that could be interesting. Of course, TJ, they've got history. So I think it's going to be a fun tournament. I think it'll be a fun watch, and I'll be really intrigued to see who ends up as the first Women's World Tag Team Champions.
This is probably the first tournament in a long time, Stu, where I could look at this and say there's 8 teams in it, and I could see 7 of them winning it. I really could. I think the only team that probably wouldn't would be Alex Windsor and Rio. Otherwise, you can look at all those teams and realistically see them winning this thing. Like Megan Bain and Penelope Ford, great, and they've been teaming up a lot. TJ's been teaming up. Mercedes and Athena would be, continue the belt collector story and then have this whole thing collapse. And, like you said, those two get in a feud. Will and Harley are a fun group. People love those two. Sisters of Sin, good. Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa. We don't know what's going on with those two.
Oh, that would be. I mean, just the promos alone,
yes,
and the backstage vignettes alone would make that worth it.
Yeah, and Aminata and Hayter, and they've been starting to push Queen Aminata a little bit, but she and Jamie are teaming really well together. I mean, I can't see who's going to win this. I can't. It's going to be fun. Finally,
and that's what makes it so much, really good viewings. Like, let's just see it because, you can't. I don't think this one you can really predict.
I'll take Mercedes and Athena just for the fallout later on. I'll take it.
All right, I'm gonna take Willow and Harley.
All right,
just good.
Well, we're gonna figure
with Tony and Mina a close second.
Yeah,
no, the entertainment value.
Yes, so that's going to be something else as AEW gets ready to crown new women's tag team champions. And I think one thing too that it does speak to how deep the AEW women's roster is. I don't think people really understand how many great women wrestlers there are in AEW. Now that they can throw this together, and you've got all 16 of these women are really good, and there's more. There's more out, with Chris Statlander and so many others. This is something else. in terms of group of talent that Tony's been able to assemble.
It's hard to remember back in the early days of AEW when the women's roster, their women's roster was getting criticized. It was weak. It wasn't very deep. And now it seems like almost just you turn around and all of a sudden, oh my God, they've got some serious talent.
Yeah. Free Britt Baker, by the way. Just throwing that out. I have heard nothing about what's really going on with her.
Thank goodness she's still got her dental practice.
Do you think WWE would pick her up if Tony let her go? I would think so.
That's, you know what? I mean, I think they would. I don't see her on the main roster though. I think she would be an NXT stalwart.
Start, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And now we were talking about Mercedes Moné, and Stu, you are a lover of the independents. Now take your I'm not thrilled about what Mercedes has done hat off for a second and put on your businessman's hat for a moment, please.
Yeah.
Mercedes is getting $25,000. That is a requested fee to appear on an independent card. Now, the boys up in Winnipeg who just had her up there were like, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to us. And they have very much benefited from it. Stu, if you are running an independent promotion and are interested in bringing Mercedes in and she says $25K, are you paying that?
Oh man. I'm tempted. If I have the resources, I might. Now I think it may have been Dave Meltzer that mentioned this. I don't think this is what I don't think this is like a standard, any promotion. That's what, I think she gives discounts, for lack of a better term, for certain places. I'm wondering, because of course she showed up at Metroplex Wrestling up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, when Athena ran her first all-women's event up there, she showed up. I got a feeling they got a price break on that one.
Yeah, probably.
So I think it depends on the promotion. But yeah, if I have the chance to book her and I have the resources, now I'm going to do it far enough advance where I can market this thing out the hilt. I'm going to buy up TV time, radio time. I'm going to make sure everybody in the Austin metropolitan area knows I'm bringing in Mercedes Moné, because that's going to bring the crowds. And then, you will probably make the money, and we'll do the VIP meet and greet and charge out the wazoo. But that means you get a big payday for that. And then you're going to get people that may not come to your promotion, or may not have come to your promotion before. They get to see what else is on the card, and all of a sudden say, hey, I need to check these guys out more often. So I think it's a possibility. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be very interesting to see her in FSW here for sure.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. I mean, that would be great
to inspire.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of real quick, Killer Cross is going to be here on November 23rd at the Luck of the Draw card. Plus, he's doing a big meet and greet storytelling time, I believe, on the next Monday. So if you want to check that out here, it's Luck of the Draw, November 23rd, fswvegas.com. For those of you here in Las Vegas, if you want to see Mr. Cross. And, but one thing I'm sure Mr. Cross might need some health insurance. He and Scarlett got to be taken care of. And I got to remind everybody about the multi-care group real quick before I forget to do that. And look, professional wrestlers need health insurance, right?
Absolutely.
Independent contractors. So give Pat Casal at the multi-care group a call, 702-286-1014, 702-286-1014. That is 702. That's that Las Vegas area code, 286-1014. They can take care of health insurance, life insurance. He can help your company out, setting up your benefits package. Pat is awesome. He's a good friend of mine, takes care of me, and let him take care of you too. TheMulticareGroup.com if you want to check out the website, but just call Pat. Wake him up. He might be going to church or something. I don't know what he's doing right now, but call him 702-286-1015. All right, when we get back, we're going to take a look at the situation with Andrade, the situation with Asuka and Goldberg. Yikes. Oh, so bad. And somebody out there got a new profession, got interviewed about it this week. Let's see if you can do a little Googling and find out who that is. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back on the Mark Hoke Show.
Ready to hit the road in a new ride? One
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, final segment of the Mark Hoke Show. I mean, I could go all day, but, well, actually, I can't. I have to be at work in a couple hours. But very happy to have you join us. Best in Pro Wrestling, Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling along with me. Okay, I promised I was going to get to this. I don't want to make the chat box mad. I know two man 13 is out there just firing it off.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Shinsuke Nakamura, who of course is in WWE. They want him to take on Hiroshi Tanahashi in Tanahashi's final match at Wrestle Kingdom 20 in Tokyo. But there is one problem because of Shinsuke being in WWE and there's AEW performers on this card. There may be some reluctance from the boys at WWE to allow Nakamura to wrestle Tanahashi. Stu, is this going to happen?
Probably not. And it's sad because you're talking about a rivalry in New Japan that was instrumental in the rise of New Japan Pro Wrestling with Tanahashi and Shinsuke Nakamura over the former IWGP Intercontinental Championship, and and it's a shame.
Oh, they're not using them anyway.
AEW wrestlers are probably going to be on that on Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, you got Konosuke Takeshita, who will probably be defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, assuming he got it. He still has it then. And that may be against Okada, so we'll see. But it's not like Nakamura is going to be wrestling an AEW wrestler. He's wrestling Hiroshi Tanahashi, the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think it's silly, but then again, it's not unexpected. It would be great to see that, but I'm not going to hold my breath, and that's the thing, because it's kind of like, okay, then who does get Tanahashi's final match? Because that's going to be a big rub for them, for whoever gets it. That I said the same thing with John Cena. Give it to a young guy. In New Japan's case, I'm thinking Ren Narita. I'm thinking Yuya Uemura. I'm thinking Shota Umino. I'm thinking one of those guys. Now, I know Umino has already faced Tanahashi recently in the last few months, and I think Narita has too. So I would find a young guy, have him get that match if they can't figure out a way to get Nakamura to Tokyo for January 4th.
I'll just say this. You guys over at WWE, just let Shinsuke wrestle the match, for God's sake. Come on.
It's not like you're using him much on your product.
Right. That man needs to go to AEW, by the way. They'll treat him like a god there.
Nakamura?
Yeah.
But you got to remember, this is, Nakamura, this is kind of like, I'm going to kick back and, go surfing and enjoy my life. That was one of the big reasons why he signed with WWE in the beginning. He doesn't have to do all the stuff he was doing in New Japan. Let his body heal. Yes, if Tony Khan had a chance to sign Nakamura, yes, he would do it in a New York second. I'm not sure how well he'd be used there. It would be fun to see it. But yes, I agree with you. WWE just let him wrestle Tanahashi.
Yeah, please. Well, we had a little controversy with Bill Goldberg as he was asked on Real Talk with Mike Burke about a question of whether his undefeated streak would ever be replicated. And then he was referring to Asuka, saying they already did. Some girl at WWE, they did it on purpose. I have nothing against the girl by any means, but yeah. So Goldberg's bitterness towards WWE continues. And Asuka did respond by that to that with some comments where she was didn't take it too badly, I suppose. But was this necessary? Did Goldberg really have to throw Asuka under the bus on this one?
That's the sense. I don't think that was her. I think that was Goldberg just, for lack of a better term, having a brain freeze on the name. It's not like Goldberg follows WWE weekly. So he's busy, with his cars in San Antonio, and I think his son's playing for Colorado.
Yeah.
In football. So yeah, it's not like he watches every week. So no, it's like this is one of those non-stories.
I don't know. I think he was throwing shade a little bit. I think he was
throwing shade on WWE. Sure.
Yeah.
Because of the way they handled his retirement.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but yeah.
But
so
it had nothing to do with Asuka.
So now Asuka is going to be looking to bring Goldberg out of retirement and twist him like a pretzel. That should be a whole lot of fun there. Do you want to? Oh, Andrade. We got to get to Andrade for God's sake, and we'll talk about Marco Stunt if we have time here. But Andrade, the contract with the 1 year no compete clause is apparently going to hold up, but WWE is appearing to put pressure on Andrade to come back. They just fired him. What is going on? Are you kidding me?
I saw that and I'm going, okay, hold on. You let him go, for allegedly wellness violation or whatever. And now you're enforcing this 1 year non-compete. Now, I have not been able to clear it up because the traditional non-compete means he still gets paid. But apparently he's not getting paid.
Yeah.
If he's not getting paid, then yeah, I'm lawering up and I'm getting that non-compete thrown out the window because
I would.
Well, and we saw David Otunga said, hey, let him get an attorney. Now, this whole thing, okay, we want to bring you back. What in the world is going on with this? They did it with Ron Killings. Now they're trying to do it with Andrade. That makes absolutely no sense.
No, why would you want him back? You just fired him.
Yeah.
You felt like he was that much of trouble that you didn't want him there anymore. But because I think it's because he showed them up a little bit coming right on AEW TV.
Showing up on Dynamite.
Yeah.
And becoming the 43rd member of the Don Callis family.
Yeah. Just, man, sometimes you got to let that spitefulness go and just say, forget it. Yeah. 2-man in the chat box, by the way, saying AEW fans are going to have a missing Andrade poster.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that'd be great. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah. And real quick, there was a great interview with Marco Stunt. You remember him from AEW, the shorter gentleman. He is now selling cars and he's happy.
Okay.
But gave a lot of insights into his career and we're almost out of time here, but just wanted to wish Marco all the best. That's pretty cool that he's happy and doing what he's doing.
Absolutely. If you can get out and be happy and do what you want and get out relatively healthy, by all means.
Absolutely. And we're going to get out of here happy and healthy. Stu Myrick's got to watch the Cowboys, though, so that may take another year off his life, but that's all right. Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Make sure you follow him at Stu Myrick, STEWMYRICK on X, and check out that great show, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. And you can follow us at Mark Hoke Show on X, Facebook, and YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show. Just do the like, follow, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Just click all the buttons. You'll be happy, I promise. And we will see you guys next week on The Mark Hoke Show as we continue to bring you the best in pro wrestling right here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.